Hello and welcome. My name is Grayson Mitchell, and this is my presentation for my Incorporating Indigenous Ways of Knowing into my Technological Design course. I'd like to begin with the land acknowledgement for the area where I'm from, which is Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory, and that the land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, specifically the Garden River and Batchewana First Nations, as well as the Métis people. Ani, Buju, Wabanong Nimke, Indigenous, Nook, Dodom, Nin, Dao, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Ndunjaba. This is a traditional Ojibwe form of introducing yourself. My spirit name, which was given to me by an elder in the Garden River First Nations, is Wabanong Nimke, which means Eastern Thunder. So I began this lesson with the traditional land acknowledgement from my home territory in Sault Ste. Marie. Then I followed with the Ojibwe introduction of myself and my spirit name and my clan, by the way, which is Nuka, which is the Bear Clan. I felt that this would bring an element of realism to the class and was a great way to set the tone for the content that I was going to be delivering and trying to communicate to my students. I wanted to introduce the class in a way that brought some authenticity to the students, and even though I personally have no Indigenous heritage, I do have family through marriage who are Indigenous, and so my brother-in-law and my nephews are of Indigenous descent, and they and my sister, they practice traditional spiritual methods and techniques for healing, and they celebrate their culture, which I'm very grateful to be a part of when they include me in it. So even though I have no heritage myself, I have had a lot of great positive experiences in the First Nations communities where I come from. The people have always been so welcoming to me there, and anytime I would reach out to talk to an elder or someone for insight into my personal life, I was always welcomed with open arms, and it is just a great quality of the communities around where I live. This teaching modality that I was trying to incorporate during the introduction through using some of these my own personal stories and my own personal experience was to try to engage the students in asking questions. I've always found, like during my practicum, that it can be extremely difficult at times to engage students' curiosity and get them to take a step out of their world and ask questions about something that they don't understand. You really have to have some kind of a hook or some kind of point of interest that really gain their attention. And sometimes, like in tech design or in a lot of technical subjects, or in any subject area for that matter, the content can get a little bit dry, you know, and from the perception of a student, it can be even boring having to learn the type of information that is delivered through the curriculum. One of the most difficult challenges that I personally have had as a teacher is finding ways to make it interesting and finding ways that the students can connect with the material that you're trying to deliver, you know, or the lessons that you're trying to deliver in the classroom. One way that I've found that works is trying to find a parallel in their own life through an interest or an experience of theirs that somehow relates to the content and the experience or the work that you're doing in the classroom, so that you can get through to them through a medium that they almost sort of have some familiarity with because they have some interest there. As I always say, I've always said that teaching is about more than just delivering content. Students will only learn if they want to learn. So the key there is to get that spark of interest, right? So typically in my lessons, I like to incorporate as many different modalities as I can into a lesson. So as many different delivery systems as I can, so that I can try to reach each student in the class. Now, one thing that I had learned through my practice teaching and my practicum is that you can pretty quickly overstimulate a class if you bombard them with too much information. So if you have too many modalities, or you have too many different means of delivering information, that can become overwhelming for a student. Sometimes it needs to be simplified. But with that being said, I think that it's a better strategy to incorporate different learning styles into sort of a hybrid modality, where you're delivering information through combined communications. And what I mean by that is having multiple medias displayed to assist in conveying the information you're trying to teach, but simultaneously integrating them together. So I felt that the assignment that I gave during this lesson, through the use of their own devices, was a great way for me to achieve that. One of my foremost concerns about how students use their devices today is that they really aren't learning much when they're on their personal devices, like when they're just for entertainment, right? All they're learning is how to be more efficient at processing this mindless pop culture trends and advertisements and whatever the algorithms are deciding that they should be viewing to be, consumers. Most of the content that comes through their devices, streaming directly into their consciousness, can be compared to brainwashing in a way. It's all putting a stylized life that is really almost unattainable, or the elements of it just aren't realistic, So it's like putting something out of their reach, but trying to get them to reach for it. So the information there isn't really providing them with a real opportunity to grow and learn as a person. But what is streaming from their phones it's just training them to conform, to be consumers, and to idolize people who don't have real integrity as far as I'm concerned. So I digress. When I developed my lesson plan, what I wanted to provide the students with was an opportunity to use their devices for something that was truly a valuable learning experience. The intention was that if I could get them to learn while connecting with their phone, I hoped that I could inspire them to understand that these technologies that everyone carries around with them, every time they pick it up, and there's an opportunity for them to learn something, but for them to learn something real, some real valuable information, not just the stuff that they typically stream for entertainment. And hopefully they might continue this kind of use on their own time and use it as a learning tool on their own time, instead of just this entertainment device that makes them essentially into zombies. Using the phone as a learning tool instead of a distraction would be one of the greatest achievements that I feel like I could do as a teacher, that I could accomplish as a teacher. So I was trying to teach them through this lesson what I wanted to teach them through combining these three elements into a learning experience. So one was their device, because it's something that they love. Two was technology, because it's a technological design course. And the third, of course, was the topic for this lesson, which was the Indigenous knowledge that I was trying to integrate into the learning and parallel with the technological design. The other literacy that I was promoting was through the lesson was one of my favorite types of literacies, of course, and which is discussion. Now, I feel so strongly about discussion as a learning tool that I think it should be incorporated as often as possible in the classroom. I think it's this pragmatic approach that I have to teaching that I just think it's an excellent learning opportunity. Anytime you can really converse with a student, anytime you can really have a discussion where there's a back and forth of information, where there's questions and responses, and there's real solid discussion there. I think we should have, I would like to have whole classes just devoted to talking, and I think that the students would have an excellent learning experience from that, beyond having to always be doing activities and stuff like that. I believe in hands-on 100%, but I think every once in a while it would be a great experience just to have discussion-based classes. Communication it's such an important need for youth and adults alike. It helps us to feel that we're not alone in the world, and that there's others who share our opinions, and if they don't share our opinions, it's still okay, because there's other traits that we have as people and characteristics that we can identify with each other. And for me, discussion is the way to make a group of students in a classroom really feel like a community. And a community of learners will thrive comparatively to learning solo, and I know what that is all about, definitely, and I know the benefit of learning in groups as opposed to having to learn on your own. One of the highlights of the lesson for me that I hope the students, if I get the opportunity to deliver this lesson actually this upcoming year, one of the opportunities that I hope the students would really take the opportunity to experience through this Indigifriends app is the sharing circle. To have the opportunity to listen to an elder or a knowledge keeper share wisdom, and to be able to have them as a resource to ask questions and learn through direct communication with an elder or with a knowledge keeper. It is an amazing feature of this app. In real life, it is an experience that is transformative, but being able to have that opportunity through this application on your phone and through this community is just so valuable. I've spoke with elders in my community in face-to-face conversations, and those conversations have been some of the most enlightening moments of my life, and have given me some of the greatest insight into who I am as a person, and how I learn, and how life is a modality for teaching you. And so for these kids to have the opportunity to have this available on their device, it just shows like how progressive our society is becoming, and how welcoming it is to other cultures to integrate and create something together that is really beneficial for everyone in our society. I think that the lesson benefits the students through showing them the interconnectedness of learning. I think that it also shows them that when you make different combinations of information, technology, and delivery, the outcomes are limitless, really. I hope that they can take this kind of theory, they can recognize this kind of theory and take it into their own lives and gain an understanding of what it takes to really be a dynamic individual. All it takes is an open mind and a thirst and a desire for new knowledge and experiences. All of the content that is available through that Indigenous app, it's of extremely high moral value as well, and learning through the experiences available on this, it's just a great opportunity for students to evolve their own integrity, and it's also just a super progressive and integral way for them to access information about Indigenous ways of knowing in a safe space. I think that how I would engage my peers to ask questions about this lesson or about this technology, I really think that the content speaks for itself. Like, it's intriguing. This technology that is created for and by Indigenous people, but everyone is welcome to have access to it, and I think ultimately it's just a very rewarding experience. One of the design elements that I really feel is unique and noble about the Indigenous app is the establishment of that safe space. The different clans within the tech have different roles as protectors within the community, so it truly is a community online where you have different people who play different roles within it, and people who have authority, but the authority is only there for the real protection of people in the community. It's not in any way persecutive or really authoritative. And I loved how they brought this idealism of community into this digital medium. I think was really progressive, and I think it's an excellent opportunity for anyone who would want to take part in it. So how do I engage my peers to ask questions? I think, like, maybe if I only revealed parts of the lesson, which I did only really reveal parts of the lesson. I didn't get into depth about what the content was like, or what it really, what everything entails in this application and in through this lesson. So I think that it's will inherently leave them with a curiosity and inspire them to want to know more. Want them to want to know more information about this experience and how they could potentially have this experience and how they can access it. Okay, I'm rambling a little bit and I'm getting long past my time, so I am going to end it there. I'd like to thank you very much, Tim, for giving me this opportunity, and I'd like to thank you for all your support through this program. Miigwech.